Hello everyone, this is Mr. Leaveforth. I figured we'd try a quick video here on trigonometric ratios. We were talking about trig yesterday. We talked about the 30, 60, 90, and 45, 45, 90s and how we knew some of the ratios there. But let's just let's get our labels back on here again. So we're going to use something called theta. Theta is just a Greek letter that we use sometimes to stand for angles. We talked yesterday about how this yellow side here, we're going to talk about that as being the hypotenuse. It's the hypotenuse because it's the side across from the 90-degree angle. If this is our highlighted angle in red down here, if theta is our angle, then the side across from it, this kind of turquoise side over here, that is going to be called the opposite. And this bottom side here, which I guess I'll make pink, we're going to call that the adjacent side. And so yesterday during class we were talking about the tangent ratio. Today I'd like to talk about a couple other ratios that we have, just a comparison of sides. The first ratio we have is called the sine. So if we're going to take the sine of theta, what we'll do is we'll compare the opposite side. We'll compare that to the hypotenuse. And so that's sine. The little button on your calculator, you can only fit 3 letters on there, so it just says SIN, but it's pronounced sine. Another ratio that we didn't talk about yesterday is cosine, and that's when we have the adjacent over the hypotenuse. And then the third ratio, again, the COS is all that fits on the button on your calculator. The third ratio is the tangent, and tangent is opposite over adjacent. So we're not really sure what to do with that yet, but as we move forward we'll be able to do problems. But what we're trying to do right now is just to get some vocabulary. So as we compare sides, the opposite over the hypotenuse, the adjacent to the hypotenuse, the opposite over the adjacent, what's the vocabulary we can use to describe those comparisons? So sine, cosine, and tangent is what we're going to use for that. Now again, on your calculator, I don't know what kind of calculator everybody has, but if you look at it, we have, the sine, the cosine, and the tangent, and they're right in, this row right here. And sine, cosine, and tangent, those will be buttons that we'll eventually use as we start to work through problems. So hopefully that made some sense. I thought I would just do a quick example here if we can. So we have a right triangle. We just did some Pythagorean theorem stuff. So let's say we have, I don't know, a triple like 5, 12, 13. And I'm talking about, this angle theta up here. And so I usually label the sides. This would be the opposite side because it's across from angle theta. This is the adjacent side over here, which is next to it. And the side across from the 90 is always going to be the hypotenuse. You can see when the angles up here, the opposite and adjacent switched. We have the sine ratio. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Opposite is 12. Hypotenuse is 13. Cosine of theta is adjacent over hypotenuse. Adjacent for theta is 5, and the hypotenuse is 13. And then the last one would be the tangent of theta. Tangent theta is opposite over adjacent. So in our case, it's 12 over 5. So that's kind of how that works out, and you get some language around the comparisons. And then what we'll be able to do is find that angle measure. We could also use an angle measure and a side to find other sides, similar to what we did for the 30, 60, 90, and 45, 45, 90s. But at least that gives you a quick heads up. I'm going to give you guys a problem to try, and then I will close out. So let's just do a right triangle here. Any old right triangle, like maybe a 9, 40, 41. And what you might want to do is try to use theta to come up with a sine, cosine, and tangent, and then let's just put a little alpha up there. And you can do the same for that, and your answers will be a little different. So why don't you go ahead and try that problem, and then we can touch base once you guys are done with that. Thanks for watching.